This video is for the entertainment and education of grown-ups only. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, hello there, my friend. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gavin. This is my channel. That's the best intro I got. We like to cut through fluff and sensationalism. Go right into the nitty-gritty of true crime. We do some speculation from time to time, but we like to get into the nitty-gritty. We are talking today about the case of the murder of Judge Kevin Mullins. This is not a whodunit. This is why you did it, because we know that he was shot to death by his coworker, his friend, the sheriff of the county, Mickey Stines. Now, yesterday, we all met together, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which is what we do, and we watched a video, again, that has been released, trying to tease out some details, and it was really quite a lot of fun. But then you guys asked, hey, can we do some zooming? And I thought, I can prepare this. So I have done it, but you know what, last minute, I reached out to none other than Elizabeth Jones from Hillbilly Crime to see if she wanted to join me too. And lo and behold, she did. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Fish.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best. We're glad you are here. Guys, if you don't know Elizabeth, she has a channel called Hillbilly Crime. She is in the same holler, same county up there in Letcher County. Actually, I should say you're like in the southeast of Kentucky, right? You're right on the Virginia border.
Yep.
Kind of right where the three states all kind of come together there, right?
Yep.
So down there in the mountains, you know these people. You know Kevin and you know Mickey, right?
Yes.
These are your neighbors and your civil servants. So your insight is welcome. Thanks for being here again. I appreciate it. Okay, where do we start? Let me say what I did, okay? Should we do like the elevator? Can you do the elevator like introduction of what this case is all about? Just the wham bam. What is this case about?
Sure. So we have our former sheriff, Mickey Stines. He was the bailiff for Judge Mullins for about 10 years and then became the sheriff. And he's been sheriff for about 6 years, I think, maybe. And, so one day the sheriff walks into the judge's chambers and they have an argument. And the next thing you know, he's shot 8 times and the judge is no longer here. This is not a whodunit. This is a why did he do it?
Now, the reason appears to be, yeah, that was good. The reason appears to be related to a lawsuit against this man who is Mickey Stines' deputy, a man named Ben Fields. He was found guilty of SAing women who were in the custody of the Letcher County Jail that were given like house arrest or work release. They were supposed to have ankle monitors. Well, this guy was the ankle monitor guy. And what he was doing is he was trading favors from these ladies in order to not have to wear an ankle monitor, that kind of stuff, right? And if they turned on him or if they did something he didn't like, he put them right back in jail and he'd lie to do it.
If he turned them down, or I mean, if they turned him.
Yeah, then that was enough. Back in jail, right? Well, he is the subject of a federal lawsuit from Sabrina Adkins and the late Jennifer Hill. These are two of Ben Fields' victims. And Mickey Stines was party to the lawsuit in his official capacity as sheriff. He has since been released. He's been replaced by the current sheriff in that sheriff's official capacity. But he did a deposition, which I thought was pretty banal, man. I did not think that it was like, he didn't He didn't let out any crazy information, but apparently he was so stressed out about it. He couldn't sleep. He was being paranoid, and apparently there was some either real or something he observed and believed to be real threat against his family. That's the story that his attorney is putting out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyway, the following Thursday, he did his deposition on Monday. The following Thursday was the day that he shot Judge Mullins. So we think that we think it because his attorney keeps saying it had to do with the deposition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So there are two things that we want to do. This is what I did. Elizabeth, you'll recognize this video. This came out a few days ago through Fox Digital. And I've watched it with you a couple times through on my channel. We've watched it together on your channel. And then I watched it again last night with my crew. And we were trying to zoom up and everything. And what we ended up doing is deciding that we were going to give me some time to actually work on the video. So I think I actually started the wrong one. Let's do this one. Okay. So what I've done, because we think that the telephone calls, or at least it's been rumored that the telephone calls have something to do with the reason that Mickey Stines shot Judge Mullins. Now, I know that Mr. Bartley, his attorney, did an interview with Fox Digital at the same time that this video came out, and he's saying the telephone calls have nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah. The article that I had read, I thought he said that the phone calls didn't have anything to do with why the shooting took place, that he was more or less trying to reach his daughter and his wife to make sure that they were okay. And that he had came out in a previous interview that he had given and said that he thought that they had already been taken. So I'm glad you've got the article, though. We're
I
going to read it.
do. Yeah. Let me bring that up, and then we will get to the video because we're all curious anyway what was happening there, and it's very low resolution, that video, but we still can tease some things out of there. We can see some stuff. So here's the article that Elizabeth was talking about, guys. Attorney Jeremy Bartley explains Stein's motive. Hey, by the way, listen, I don't want to tell anybody how to run their business. But if I were Jeremy Bartley, I would have his wife out talking about this case. People would take it way more. Dude, she looks like a freaking beast. Like in court when we've seen her in the hearings, I've said to
She's
myself, I want her on my side.
she's poker faced,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah.
Room,
She's
all business,
amazing. Yes, she is.
bulldogs.
Yes, I definitely want her on my side. But okay, it's been Jeremy out there. In a Monday phone interview with Fox News Digital, Stein's attorney Jeremy Bartley and his wife and co-counsel Carrie Bartley put to bed online rumors about the phone exchange and explained the defense's version of events in the days leading up to the shooting. I have an editor, by the way, who tells me that if my mother gives me a fact, I am to verify it, right? So just because they've said this, we need to understand this is the defense's version, right? We need to remain healthy. We need to have a healthy skepticism of anything they say. Same
You
thing with
keep
the
me in
prosecution.
line. You keep me in line, fish.
Okay, Stines had attempted multiple times to contact his daughter throughout the day, and including the time when he was in chambers and he tried to contact her from the judge's phone, Bartley said. He also noted that Stines received a call from his aunt while he was on the in the judge's chambers, and I believe we have that on video as well. Bartley said that the phone exchange had nothing to do with any relationship between the judge and his daughter, as has been speculated, which is what you just said.
There we go.
Right? I don't know that there are two parts about the daughter thing. The first part is there have been rumors, and I have recently been kind kind of moving that direction, that the rumors have tended to turn out true. There's been the rumor that there was a relationship between the judge and the daughter. But the second part was that he simply thought that she was in danger because of something that the judge and the kind of cartel of good old boys might do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that correctly?
You are. That's a great point that you're doing, pointing out that there's two pieces to that, to the daughter. So good,
Yeah.
good point.
Okay, let's see. Rather, he said Mullins was experiencing increased paranoia that his family was in danger in the period leading up to the shooting due to a civil lawsuit in which he was named and deposed. Again,
They've got that wrong. That's Stines, not
oh,
Mullins.
yeah, that should stay Stines. You're right. They have got that wrong. He said Stines was experiencing increased paranoia. Judge Mullins was not, that we have ever heard about, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. Specifically, in the approximate 2-week period prior to the incident in the judge's chambers, pretty much all the witnesses and investigators talked. Pretty much all the witnesses the investigators talked to support what those close to Mickey has said as well, Bartley said. There's a quote from him. Continuing the quote, and that's simply this: Mickey had become extremely paranoid. He'd become sleepless, basically wasn't sleeping. He slept little, if at all. He had sort of become withdrawn, and it was of such a concern that his coworkers urged him to go to the doctor, and he ultimately did the day prior to the shooting. That's news to me.
Yep.
Okay. I wondered if you had heard that.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
Well, I think they said something about him going to the doctor over that tick disease.
Oh, like Lyme disease?
Yeah, the
Oh,
encephalitis.
the encephalitis. Yeah.
Mm.
But I hadn't heard anything about paranoia, like sleep disorders or anything like that.
Mm-mm. No.
But okay. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I.
You're right there at the top.
Okay. According to Bartley, a major contributing factor to the judge's No, it's not the judge's emotional state, it's the sheriff's emotional state. Wow, they wrote this wrong.
I'm telling you, some of
Yeah.
these things are just crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's extend grace and figure that
Yeah.
they confuse the two. So the
Yeah.
sheriff's emotional grace was a deposition in a civil lawsuit filed against former Letcher County Sheriff's deputy Ben Fields, this is Mr. Fields as a deputy. This is Mr. Fields as a felon. Yeah, I think we'll look at the one with him as a felon. I think that one's a better one to look at. Anyway, the lawsuit filed by Sabrina Atkins in January 2024, also Jennifer Hill, came on the heels of Fields' sentencing after he pleaded guilty to ye old R&S, while she faced legal trouble in 2021. Yeah, so I'm just going to go down to the quote. Stein's big concern all centers around the civil suit by Sabrina Atkins, who had been essayed by this Ben Fields or coerced into favors in exchange for ankle monitoring fees. Bartley said that led to the federal lawsuit. I mean, I've read the deposition multiple times.
This ain't right. This ain't right. The file, from what I remember, the civil suit was filed, which led to the criminal investigation being kicked off.
Yeah.
How do they have the civil suit being filed at the end of 2024? But he ended up doing his time. Like, I just don't get it. I feel like they've got a timeline all jacked up on this stuff.
I'm going to go to the Sabrina Atkins v. Fields. Yeah, I mean, that was.
Could it have been
No,
filed twice?
the indictment was 2022.
Or they added to it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Deposition.
Amended.
I'm looking for
Because I don't remember if it was an interview that Ned Pillersdorf gave or if it was in one of the depositions, but it said that Ned said himself that the Attorney General's office was not very good about usually helping them with these kinds of civil rights cases.
Yeah.
But he was giving them praise that they had taken um, his case seriously and he helped them. And that's what her having that ankle monitor, that extra one to bring into her lawyers and show that Ben had given her that. Um, do you remember?
Yep. Look, this is the case Adkins v. Fields. That was
Mm,
filed January 31st of 2022, not 24. You're
yeah,
correct. Yeah, don't
that's
mess with Elizabeth Jones' memory. She's got it. She's got it. So they've got their facts wrong. I think that leads me to wonder if these quotes are correct, like if they've quoted Mr. Bartley correctly. But
I hear
anyway,
you.
okay. So I guess if we take Mr. Bartley's comments in toto, everything that
Mhm.
he said over what since, well, I mean, he's
Since
been representing him since September. Uh, he has remained pretty consistent that Mickey was paranoid, that he was worried about this deposition. Again, the deposition was benign, man. There was nothing in that deposition that I think,
But it wasn't so much what was in the deposition or what he said as it was what he might say. That's
yeah.
that was what Bartley had said in one of his interviews. He said that Mickey was so worried that he was going to say the wrong thing or that he already had said the wrong thing.
Um, yeah, well, yes. And he's saying that he was having these issues with sleeping and paranoia for weeks leading up to it. But I'm just like, between Monday and Thursday, like if you went into that deposition on Monday and you gave your deposition, of course, we have the benefit of being able to read it and going back to see what was said and everything. So there's that. But I mean, they didn't even ask any questions about like the judge abusing anybody in the chambers or anything like that. They didn't even ask anything remotely close to that.
Mm-mm. Could it be guilt? Could it be Mickey Stines' own guilty conscience?
Knowing what was going on and knowing that he didn't do anything about it.
It's a
I mean,
theory.
sure. Yeah. Okay, so that's the article portion of this. Let's go ahead, because we talked about it before doing this. You guys will see as we get in here, but I'm just going to let the video play. Elizabeth, if you want me to pause at any moment, this is the one that is going to zoom in on the phones. And I mean, you and I have both said it's almost like you have to lay out a grid and only look at certain parts. It's very difficult to take in everything that's going on the entire screen.
Yeah. Well, now I've had two people reach out to me just within the last 24 hours and tell me that he had spoken to his aunt in that.
Yes.
So that confirms what was in the newspaper or in the article right there.
Well, and I think that we see it in this when I zoom up on this, you'll kind of see. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very grainy, and unfortunately, we don't live in
See,
a
that's
world.
him.
That is
That's
him.
his
He's
own
looking at
reflection.
him right there. Yes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we don't live in like a Mission Impossible world where we can just say enhance that and then it makes it perfect. But yes, that right there is him. It's like he's got the FaceTime open and he's waiting for somebody to pick up the call, and so it's looking at him. All right.
Oh no, Fish, that's a pretty good visual there.
Yeah. Okay. Now this, I think, is the ant. See that?
Yep.
That looks like
Yep.
an older, kind of portly woman to me.
Yep. That was her. I know her.
Do you know her? That was her?
I do know her. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is the call to the aunt that we read in there and you had confirmed by a couple of your
Yep.
sources.
Yep. That is her. Bless her heart, man. Bless her heart.
Is she great?
She is a wonderful person. But I have not reached out to her since this happened because I just can't imagine what all she's been going through. And I want her to, have her privacy and her space. And
Yeah.
whenever I do run into her, I feel confident that she will probably speak with me. I love her. Always loved her. Wonderful
So
lady.
that's him again, right? He's looking at him, and I believe this is the call where he's trying to contact his daughter.
Man.
By the way, look at his heavy breathing. I mean, he's a big man anyway, but
Yep.
I feel like, yeah, so that's the end of that. I feel like he's already stressed out. He's already planning what's going to happen.
That's something too that I kind of I wonder. For a long time, I thought, or not that I thought, but I wondered, was this planned? Was this planned, or was this spur of the moment thing? And I just don't know if I've made up my mind quite yet on that. I
So
go back and forth.
I'm not one that really buys into the whole pseudoscience of body language like a lot of reporters like to talk about. I'm really not into that.
Yeah.
But in that article that we just read, they said their body language expert was like, oh, he came in loaded for bear. He was ready to go the moment he walked in.
That's what that other guy said too. At the end of it, he said he thought that he, came in with a plan. I think he confronted the judge. I think he was told something and he was confronting him because he looks angry to me. He looks like he is betrayed. Like that just seems to me like that's a betrayed response.
And actually, did you see the way that he, like, if I
Through the
set,
phone?
yeah, he threw the phone. I never do that with my own phone. And certainly if it is somebody else's, I am not going to throw that phone. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, watch this. There you go. Now, and Mickey. Is Mickey is he a guy that walks around with a chip on his shoulder normally?
No, no, not that I think, I don't think Mickey was like that. A lot of people really loved this man, but then you've got a handful that just didn't like Mickey.
Yeah.
A lot. There's certain people that I think the world of, that I think very highly of, and they can't stand him. Couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have people that, and I think history has a lot to do with it too. If they went to school with him, if they grew
Yeah.
up in the same neighborhood, if he helped their family member in some way, people kind of develop a sense of loyalty to.
Oh, I zoomed up on that because somebody brought up to me that, yeah, the judge's phone rings as he's laying there.
Yep.
At the very end there. Yeah, that is interesting the way that people feel about others. I mean, hopefully, we can watch that again, but hopefully, the first call was definitely his aunt. The second call definitely didn't go through. The third call looks like it did, like he was talking on the phone, and I think that was to his daughter. And as soon as he was done with his daughter, I think that whole flipping the phone on the desk, I think he was I think he was committed at that point, if not sooner.
Yeah, I think whatever information he gathered right there at the end there, within that few minutes or whatever, I think that is what um, did it. That's what kind of
It
made him.
probably like whatever information or information that was real or perceived to be real, right? He may not have got any truth, but he perceived something, right?
Well, I think he was confronting the judge there in that whole interaction. He was confronting the judge. It's kind of what I see. I think he's confronting him, and whatever the judge, whatever his, well, we can see basically the judge is trying to talk his way out of whatever it
Oh
is.
yeah, puts up his hands. Yeah, he is.
Mickey's Mickey's done talking.
Yes, yeah. You know, I've been a little critical of the judge because, like, if somebody pulls out a weapon, they mean harm, and I guess I've been critical of him because I understand that he's a person who would carry conceal, and
Mm.
it's it's a lesson for all of us to learn, and that's the point of me being in the true crime space. Really, is I really like to learn stuff here. If you don't train that kind of stuff, you never know how you're going to react when something happens. So you gotta train that, guys. You if you are a person who is a pro gun person, say you carry or you carry and conceal or whatever, that is not enough to keep you safe. Or other, in fact, it probably makes it more dangerous for you and others unless you are well trained and well practiced. And I think that I don't think the judge was. I think he should have been, but I don't think he was.
1,000% fish. 1,000%. That is so true. I say it all the time. How many times do people wake up the next morning from a drunk, wake up in jail because they got intoxicated and there was a weapon handy? So they ended up doing something really stupid and they wake up the next morning in jail and
Yeah,
the rest of their life in prison because they got mad and did something in the moment of
in the heat of
anger.
the moment. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's see what I've been seeing little yellow bars on my screen over here. Let me see what people are saying. RJG says, remember Mickey's demeanor at the deposition changed drastically after he said that Judge Kraft apologized for not telling him about the deputy doing the ugly in the judge's chambers. I guess I'd forgotten that. Is
I
that
didn't.
okay? Tell us about that. Who is
So
Judge
there
Kraft?
so Judge Kraft is now Judge Mullins handled all of the district court stuff. So that was for misdemeanors, stuff like that. Judge Kraft is upstairs. He has the circuit court, so he handles all the felony cases and
Mm-hmm.
drug court.
Okay,
Um,
so
Go
Judge
ahead.
Kraft knew what was happening, what Ben Fields was doing.
Well, a lot of the people that were on house arrest or in jail came from the drug court program, which is out of Judge Kraft's courtroom. The drug court people, if they get in trouble or say they get sanctioned, they have a dirty drug test, or they get caught hanging around with somebody they're not supposed to, any kind of violation, it can put them in jail. Well, what a lot of them were given was house arrest.
That
So
made them
they,
interact with Mr. Fields.
yep, yep. Ben had access to everybody that was on house arrest. Didn't matter what court they were in.
So, how did Judge Kraft come to know that Ben was doing that?
Well, apparently one of one of the parts about drug court is that they're not allowed to have any kind of relationships with each other.
Right.
But it's a lot. It's a lot. it's a lot like AA and NA. You know, you have that 13th step that they say. That's the people that you hang out with the most is in that drug court program. So you're around each other a lot. So they're probably going to end up sleeping together, which is what a lot of them ended up doing. Um, Sabrina Adkins, one of the
Mhm.
victims of the lawsuit, had hooked up with a boy that was in drug court. This boy then, and he's mentioned in the deposition.
We're not talking about a juvenile. We're talking about a man, right? An
Yes,
appropriately aged
yes,
man. All right.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, it's just my lingo.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, he found out about Ben and Sabrina, and he had found out some other things too. But he went to his drug court worker and Judge Kraft reportedly, and reported that Ben was doing this stuff. That report never went anywhere.
That
Nothing was
nothing
ever.
happened.
No, and from what I've been told by several different sources, that there was a video at some point in time. There was a video of one of the girls that was in drug court, and I don't know who she was with, but it was a sexually explicit video,
Hmm.
and it was allegedly played in the drug court in front of, don't really know who it was in front of. I don't think it was in front of the entire drug court, but it was in front of a select few, from what I've been told. And so there was a lot of really bad stuff allegedly taking place around the same time within
Mm.
the drug court program. And so it really, really should have all been investigated
Well,
when
Judge
this.
Kraft is a circuit court judge.
Yeah, and they never did tell Mickey. So this had been reported through the drug court program. Well, in the deposition, we find out, and not just the deposition, we find out through that case that after the reporter called Mickey and told him about the civil lawsuit being filed, then you had Judge Kraft and that Robbie Kinser come over to the sheriff's department and apologize to Mickey, saying, I'm sorry, we knew this and we didn't tell you. So I don't know if maybe they just didn't believe him whenever this information was brought forward, but it seems like this was reportedly um, told several times in
Hmm.
several different forms to several different people, and it still was never properly.
You know what bothers me about that story? So, I talked with last time you were on. I talked about how my dad is like straight laced and goody two shoes, right? I'm the
Yeah.
same way. I've never done anything like that. I've never even had a sip of alcohol. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never done anything. I've never even pretended to do that. Um, so going into, man, dude, this long hair, I hate it so bad. Um, okay. Uh, so I've never been in the orbit of anything like drug court ever, right? But as a reporter, I was asked to go and cover our local drug court because they were considering canceling it in our county because it was so expensive. So the first one that I went to was a graduation, and if I can just I know that this is a total tangent, right? But if I can just describe this for a second, um, we have an historic courthouse. It's 4 stories tall, or well, yeah, it's technically 3 stories tall, but you go in through the basement because it's kind of like a daylight basement. So there are multiple courtrooms in there, including one that looks like right out of a movie. It's like so amazing, right? And then there are the little courtrooms. So you climb 4 flights of stairs and go into this courtroom, and it's small. The gallery's on pews, and it kind of feels like church. You go in there, it kind of feels like there's a pulpit up there where the judge's bench is, and It's like everybody's sitting in church pews, and it kind of feels that way. Well, sitting through a graduation of people that had successfully made it through what was in one of their cases like a 3-year process. It took a lot. He was sanctioned multiple times. He made progress. He fell back. You know,
Yep.
dude, when he graduated and they were telling the story of what he overcame, it freaking felt like church. It felt so good. It felt so good. And I was so happy for, in that case, it was 3 people that graduated from this program. And when they were leaving, now um, the chances are high that they're not going to be successful at staying away from drugs for the rest of their life. But in that moment, they have accomplished something that is amazing. And there is a chance, right? A
Yep.
way greater chance than there would be if somebody just decided on their own to quit cold turkey or something like that, right? And so it's a very moving, very powerful, very important moment. And when I hear crap like this, like they knew that there was crime happening to the people participating in their church, right? That just kills me. That really, really angers me.
Well, and my girlfriend ended up getting in some trouble. She had some possession charges, and may I don't even know what all she was charged with, but she got in trouble, and she took drug court. She was a 2-year drug court. That's what they gave her, 2 years in drug court. And then she had some probation after the drug court that she was going to have to do. She did her 2 years, but kind of what you were just saying, she never had one failed drug test. All of her drug tests came back clean, but they didn't. They said she was hanging out with somebody she wasn't supposed to be hanging out with, so then they put her back. They didn't like her mouth, so they put her back. They held her in drug court for 4 years when she
Mm.
only had a 2-year drug court thing to do. How do they do that? Because does that mean that they can hold you indefinitely as long as they want to keep putting you back? You would never graduate. I
Yeah.
mean, because when you take that drug court, you give up the right to have an attorney, you
Yep.
give up your right to appeal,
Yep.
you give up all of your rights for that. But I just don't know how much of a bargain that is if they can keep you for how
I
long.
think it depends on the people who are running the court. Like, um, the people, and I've gone back multiple times now to cover drug court, and I think it's a, at least in our county, it's a wonderful program that makes meaningful change in a very few people's lives, but those few people's lives have the same value as everyone else, so it's worth it, right? And what makes me angry is when that can be bastardized and things can be taken advantage of. That in our county, it is run by what they call a what is the term that they use? Basically it's a retired judge. It's a judge
Mhm.
who is retired, reached the maximum age in the Commonwealth to serve, and I can't remember the name. They have a word for it, but he was the president judge in a county nearby, very highly regarded, and I can tell in those meetings that the people that are in his court he is rooting for. He wants them to succeed, right? And
Yeah.
the drug court administrator in our town is a woman that I only know through the court, through covering it, but also I feel like she loves these people. She loves the people that she's working with. So I think it boils down to that.
Yeah.
Who are the administrators? Who is the judge? Who are the probation officers that are working with the people in court? And it seems to me, and maybe I'm looking at my county through rose-colored specs, but it seems to me in Letcher County anyway, there were issues that there seem to be taking advantage of some or all of the people that are put into that program.
Well, guess who was over that drug court program?
Well, was it Judge? It was Judge Kraft, right?
Well, he was the judge over it, but the person that was over the drug court program was Ben's sister.
Ben Field's sister. Yeah,
Yes.
messed
So
up.
Does that not have something to do with why they didn't believe the report? I mean, and he had worked at the jail for 10 years before he replaced Mickey as
Yeah.
court security. He also confessed basically in his polygraph to get that job that he drank on the job
Mm-hmm.
as when he worked in the jail, and that he had sex
Yes.
in the courthouse
Yep.
with his wife before she became his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. He told the truth when he was connected to an electronic machine.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, it's crazy. Butterfly Kisses says, do y'all think Mickey made calls to check on his family and to tell them what he was fixing to do? I don't know that he would tell them. He's in front of his victim. His victim would get up and run. I would hope.
Yeah.
Hey, sweetie, I'm sitting here with Judge Mullins. I'm going to draw my pistol here in a second and shoot him 8 times. No, I think the judge would leave the room at that point.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And there were reports too that he had went to the high school earlier that day to see his daughter. And now I've heard she wouldn't see him or he didn't see her, but that's not confirmed or anything. I don't know. But it has been reported that he went to the school to see her that day.
okay. Hey, Lisa, tell your wife happy early Mother's Day for me and Hillbilly Crimes. If you're a mama, which you are, happy early Mother's Day, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day. Also, just a quick confession, Gavin's confessional here, okay? I am the worst gift giver in the history of giving gifts. There's nobody worse at it than I am. But this year, after 25 years of marriage, I have gotten my wife the most outstanding gift, which I can't say because she might watch this video, but I'm really proud of myself this year. My wife is a practical woman. She does not like flowers. She does not like the regular romance stuff, opening doors and all that. She doesn't like any of that stuff. She's very practical. But deep down inside her, there is something that is not practical, and I've just tapped right into it. I can't wait.
That's wonderful. I'm like my mom. I don't want flowers that I have to throw away. Buy me something that's got a root on the bottom of it, so I
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So neither Kimberly nor I have a green thumb, and so last year the kids got wooden roses for Kimberly, a bouquet of wooden hand-carved roses, and they are still in our dining room. They're beautiful.
That is awesome.
Our kids are awesome. They are much better gift givers than I am. Okay, Susan asks, what are the circumstances of the photo? You'll be able to tell us this. The photo of Mickey with all the money on his desk.
Listen, that is something that they have done for the longest time. They pull people over or whatever, and this is what they confiscate out of traffic stops, and it's just unbelievable. And every time they get a big stash, which was basically every day, they would lay it all out on either the hood of the cruiser or a desk somewhere, and they would take pictures of it. I can't tell you how many pictures I copied over the course of this past year. And it's just unbelievable how much money, drugs, and weapons they were confiscating off the street that I don't know where any where's all of this going? Where is all of this being held? Why don't we have any forfeiture reports? Letcher County doesn't turn in any forfeiture reports.
Wow. Ooh.
Oh yes, it's a big rabbit hole, fish.
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, Robin Bernardi. She says, what exactly motivates a man to end a workmate? What primal fight was triggered? Family could be a catalyst, but was there more to the story? That is the question of the century.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. A couple other. I'm just going to skip by because we've already addressed a lot of these. Mary likes my intro. Did you see my intro? Did you
I
see
am in love with the little
Baby
fish.
Gavin?
Oh my God. It is the best.
I've made a lot of them. I've got a lot of them, so I will roll them out as we
You need
go
to
along.
make me one.
You
I want
need to have a baby Elizabeth, a little Lizzie,
a
baby
little
Lizzie,
baby hillbilly.
baby
Yes.
hillbilly. Let's see. Lisa says lack of sleep intensifies paranoia. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Let's see. KO says Gavin, maybe he was being threatened if he spoke about it outside the club. Like there's SA club at the courthouse. First rule of SA club. I'm talking about SA club. Yeah.
Well, and I'm wondering if there's not a whole lot more of the digital footprint that
Oh, there's gotta be.
would be found if they would just investigate this. The and I'm convinced all they need is to do search warrants on these right here.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that they were sloppy. They had the golden boy to protect them all. Nothing was ever going to come down on anybody until this happened. Ben Fields getting in trouble was the catalyst that brought all of this, in my opinion.
I would be shocked that a person like Ben Fields wouldn't have his own digital footprint of what he did. I mean, like, a dude is sick. He's taking advantage of taking. That's the understatement of the century. But it's YouTube, right? Everybody, I know what it is that he did. But a person that is that sick to do that serious of a crime, how would he not also pull out a phone?
Right.
You know that. Yeah.
And how could all of his supervisors and his co-workers and all, after he pled guilty to this and confessed, they all still said he was such a good guy, he was such a good dude, we're going to make him a trustee, and we're going to give his wife a promotion, and we're going to, and his sister's not going to be investigated. Nobody got investigated other than him. That was it. And once they got once they got his plea deal,
that was the
investigation.
end.
Yep.
It's like la 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 la, right? I don't want to see anymore.
Yep.
Butterfly Kisses says, looks like Mullins' wife there, the second person. Maybe he phoned Mullins' wife and told her he was going after Mullins. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Let's see. I'm just going to keep. There's a couple more here.
But remember, y'all, we agree to disagree. We can all have our own opinions.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. We work hard to disagree without being disagreeable, right? We can be respectful. Lisa says the one when he was comparing the judge's phone had his daughter's picture on it, on his, wasn't it? I think so. Like, if we go back to, let me just see if my system doesn't give me a really good scrubbing option here, but I believe he was holding up his phone to look at. That's right here.
That's his daughter. Yep, on the right. He had both of his phones up there. That was his daughter's picture right there on the right.
And his daughter looks different enough from his wife that you would know that that's not his wife, right?
His wife has blonde hair, and his daughter's dark-headed. So that looks like her there.
And I think with everything that Mr. Bartley has said, I think that's pretty confirmed that what he's looking at the contact information to get the number to punch it into the judge's phone. I am curious why he would call on the judge's phone, though. And why apparently he talked to her why she would pick up the judge's call and not her father's call. I mean, there are
And
probably good reasons that aren't nefarious. Maybe she was fighting with her dad, didn't want to talk to her dad. I don't know.
and then right after he throws it down there and he shoots him, somebody calls it right back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. We let me just kind of go to this. You can see the phone right there on the desk. It's like right here.
I think it's when he rounds the desk, it'll start
Okay.
up when he comes around it right
And
there.
bang, right there. Somebody's calling the judge. Yeah, man. Okay. Couple more. What dude, we've been going 50 minutes already. I want to be respectful of everybody's time here. We don't want to
Time goes by fast when you're having fun.
yeah. Lisa says if she was avoiding talking to her dad, she would pick up other. I mean, I don't think any of my children would ever pick up a phone call ever. It's text or nothing with those dirty rats.
Yeah, I'm a lot like that
I am
myself.
too. I am too. Stephanie Hester finally caught alive. What a crazy case. Love seeing Elizabeth. Hillbilly crime over here. We love having Elizabeth on. All right. I think Intrepid Frady Cat says you two should cover other stories together once this one is over. We should. We
Yeah,
should. We don't even
absolutely.
have to wait for this one to be over. We can cover other things at the same time.
I will come on anytime you want to talk about Stephen Stearns.
Oh, have you been talking about Maddie's
I
case?
No, I don't ever talk about it on my show, but I know that you do,
I do.
and I have kept up with that. Like especially not so much recently because I've been doing so much on my, but I watched all the interviews. Um, I know what's going on.
Oh yeah. I Intrepid Frady Cat, I do love the cat with the pearl earring avatar that you have there. That's pretty. Is that Vermeer? Who painted that one? That one's a famous one. Is that Vermeer? It doesn't matter. I'm not up on my Dutch artists, so,
I love
uh,
it.
but that's a cute thing. All right, we are. Oh, Meredith says we're an iconic duo. Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
Penguin asked, "Does anyone know if the quilt was damaged?" You're worried, Penguin? You're worried about that quilt? I mean, it is a beautiful quilt. It just occurred to me what it is. This is hearkening to coal country.
Yeah, coal miners. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a very iconic quilt pattern from
Is
this
it?
area. Hmm.
So it's very local. I should
Hmm.
have I should have put that together. I guess I'd always just it's a very recognizable print. In fact, that's one of the things that Sabrina Atkins said in her proffer about the video is that she knew that that essay was happening with the judge in the chambers because she saw the quilt.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's a good place to call it. We've been going almost an hour. Guys, it is Friday. Those of you who are live on the Rewatch crew, we're glad that you rewatch anytime. But I'm ready to call it a week, man. It's been a long week. What do you got going on your channel? What's coming up next for you?
Well, we followed the Karen Reed trial during the day until that one will be over, and then whenever it's over, we'll move on to another one. There've been a lot of local stories going on that are just crazy. Just it maybe not as crazy as this one with the sheriff and the judge, but honey, they're pretty off the wall. So y'all come watch us. We'll
Yeah,
dig into them next week.
living in the mountains of Kentucky, down there in southern Appalachia. The other side of Appalachia is us.
We had a rogue task force a couple hours from here, from where I'm from. They went in to serve a search warrant on a fella over a stolen weed eater. and they went into the wrong house at midnight.
Oh no.
The homeowner apparently had, was armed. It's midnight. Somebody's breaking into his house. Well, they shot and killed him
Oh,
at the wrong house. And it was plainly stated on the search warrant. There were big numbers on the front of the house. I mean, it was not easy to mistake this. The dispatcher said the correct address over 15 times on their way out there. I just don't know how you miss that. I don't know how 10 people make that mistake.
there is a Supreme Court case going on right now. First of all, that happens rarely, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a Supreme Court case happening in this. I'm over on SCOTUS blog. You guys aren't seeing this, but there in this term, in the October 2024 term, there is a case that is like this, and I can't remember which one it is, but it might be. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm getting off track, but where the police did the very same thing, nobody died, but I mean, it was traumatic, and they broke in the house, but they are claiming qualified and high immunity. So the police department is saying, we're not going to pay for that mistake. And so it's going all the way to the Supreme Court. And I hope that the Supreme Court will break that high immunity, because in that case that you're talking about there, I bet the police are like, we're not responsible for that. We have immunity. Is that what's happening?
The Kentucky State Police is investigating it, but you haven't heard anything about it. Nothing. So
Wow.
I don't know. You know how it goes. As long as there's an open investigation, they ain't commenting on nothing.
Yeah. Well, hope you have a good weekend. Stick around for just 1 second, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for your support. The channel has gone crazy this past week as we've been covering Judge Mullins' murder case. So I know that there are a lot of you that are new. In fact, I haven't looked at the sub count in a while. Yeah, we've got 121,778 fishies in the bowl now. Thank you to all of you. Thanks for your support. I also saw several new Patreon supporters. You guys are completely awesome. Don't forget to head on over to my website where you can see all sorts of things. I've actually got a new blog post up here about the Eliza Sherman case that we talked about a couple days ago. So yeah, come on over to the site anytime. Also join us over on the Fish Tank by clicking this link. That will take you over to the Fish Tank on Facebook. That's where we hang out over there. With that, I will bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.